Welcome back to Let's Make a Game. In this video, I would like to talk about arrays. Arrays are a special type of variable. A normal variable holds a single piece of information. For example, we might have a variable for our character's hit points stored in the variable $HP, and $HP would have a particular numerical value at any given time. We might also store a piece of text. We might have a name for our character stored in, for example, $NAME, and that will be a string of text. Sometimes we want to store several pieces of information that are related in some way. And for that, we use an array. So, for example, we might have several attributes that our character has. They have a strength score, an intelligence score, a luck score, constitution score, and so on. And we might want to store the names of those different variables. We could store strength in one variable, intelligence in another, etc. But it would be more common and a lot easier to use an array. And I have an example of how we would do that here. So we have the less than characters, and then we have the greater than characters at the end, and we have the set command, and we have the name of the array beginning with a $sign. In this case, it's $ATTRIBUTES, dollars attributes, and then equals, and then we have the value. So far it's all the same as setting the value of a normal variable, but because there's multiple values, we have a different layout. First of all, we begin and end with these square brackets. Then we have all of the values separated by commas. In this case, the values are text, not numbers, and we indicate that they're text by having these quotation marks before and after each value. So first we have strength, and then we have a comma, then we have intelligence, then luck, constitution, etc. Even though we set them all up in the same array, we will be using one of them at a time. So how do we specify which one we want? How do we specify that we want to have this value, constitution, and not this value, intelligence, for example? We do that by having the name of the array, so $attributes, then we have a square bracket, then we have a number, and then we have an end square bracket. There's a slightly counterintuitive element to that, in that a lot of the time in computing, the first item in a list is the 0th item, and that's the case here. So if we say attributes square bracket 0 end square bracket, we mean to look in this, as it were, slot of the attributes array, and we see the value in there, which is the text strength. That is attributes 0, attributes 1 is this one, attributes 2 is this one, and so on. So I have a little note here that says some stuff about how it works. As always, this code has been uploaded to the itch.io link in the description of this video, so you can download it and have a look at it in your own time if you wish. But it notes that this sets attributes 0 to the value strength, attributes 1 is the value intelligence, and so on. You can also define an array without initially putting in any values. And you might do that, for example, if you want to put random values in later. So we could just put less than set $attributes equals square bracket end square bracket greater than. That would tell the program that $attributes is going to be an array. It's not a normal type of variable, but it doesn't tell it anything about what's going to be in the slots yet. And there's also a note here that says a single array can hold both text and numbers. So this one is all text, but we could have had all numbers instead, or we could have some numbers and some text if we want to keep track of both types of data. There are other types of data than numbers and text, but those are the two that we use most often by a long way. What I have here is an example of dealing with only one slot of the array, as opposed to the whole array. So we have less than, set $attributes square bracket 3, n square bracket equals, quote, wisdom, quote, and then greater than, greater than. That will go to this array, and it'll go to slot 3, which again is the fourth one, not the third one, so 0, 1, 2, 3, and it will overwrite what is in there. It'll set it to the value wisdom instead. This number doesn't have to be a set number. We can also use variables. So I've got an example of that here. We set z equal to 4, and then we set attributes z equal to willpower. So this command says make a normal variable called z and give it the value 4. This command says look for the zth slot of the attributes array, and it knows that that means 4 because it looks at the z variable and sees that it has the value 4. So set attributes 4 equal to willpower. So that will overwrite 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 dexterity, and it will give it the value willpower instead. And then I have examples of how you would print the different slots of the array, which is just by giving the name of the array and then the slot that you want to print. So $attributes, square bracket 0, n square bracket, and then a line break, and so on for the others. And when we run it, we see that we get strength, intelligence, luck, wisdom, willpower, and charisma. So it's started with these values, and then it's executed these commands to overwrite those slots to wisdom and willpower, respectively. So there's lots of uses that we can put arrays to. One of the most common is called a for loop, but I'm not going to talk about that today. I will talk about for loops in the next video. I will leave it there for now. I hope that was useful or interesting to at least some of you, and I hope you will tune in next time.